three perspectives that one needs to look at. You look at the aim, the ways and means that a particular person used, be it to be the government itself, be it from the point of civilian, be it to be religious oriented. There is always the way, end, and means. What was the purpose of this attack? What was the modus operandi that was used? Who are being targeted? That when you look at all the three, then you can arrive at a conclusion that what took place some hours ago in London is an act of terror. But one thing that is also coming out clearly is the change of shift from what terrorists used to use maybe 3 years, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
They have shifted their strategy. Not a strategy as such, I will say they have shifted their tactics. Initially, people are used to terrorists who use bombs, who use suicide vests, who use improvised explosive devices. Here now, we have a group of terrorists now who are using a totally different strategy. A terrorist that you cannot say that they are coordinated in a cell.
Yeah.
This is a case of what we call a lone wolf. Somebody
Which
just
is,
wakes
yeah,
up in the morning,
and decides to do this
wakes
kind
up
of
in the
evil.
morning
Yeah.
because of an ideology, goes and buys a van or buys a car, which he can easily and comfortably use,
Yes.
or he can easily and comfortably acquire without not being detected, as opposed to using a bomb.
Exactly. It's good to say that not being detected. And do you then sense this changing face of terror is what has also made it so difficult for the security agencies to foil this kind of attacks? Because whilst when we had the old kind of, terrorist attacks, if you like, before the bombs, it's easier to catch on to plans and this kind of coordination. But when you're saying someone could just wake up, it becomes more difficult. So is it a failure, do you see, from where you sit, of the security agencies, or is it just something that would happen anywhere in the world?
Remember, as a security agency, and especially in London, whereby we have various security agencies, starting with the MI5, MI6, then we have government communication headquarters, and we have the Metropolitan Police. They may find it difficult because they have a lot of raw data from which to work with. And sometimes in intelligence, to separate what is noise from real issues, it might become difficult. Because if it is a case whereby the terrorist cell itself has to go and maybe assemble a bomb, it will be easier. Because, for instance, if you go and buy some explosive that you will go to use, it is easier for you to be detected. If it is a group, there will always be an aspect of communication, whereby that communication is very easy for it to be intercepted. But here is a situation whereby somebody just goes into his own room, he is radicalized maybe through an internet, buys a van, uses that van or a knife. It will be very difficult for not just the London security system, but any other security system in the world to deal with lone wolves
type of attacks.
Yes.
And of course, we've taken our viewers through the other attacks that have been witnessed around Europe. But London has bore quite the brunt, especially just in the last few months. Why London? Why are we seeing this kind of attacks? And, the period of time in between very short, leaving almost the security agencies there in disarray?
You must realize that there is a school of thought that argues that terrorists themselves are rational thinkers. They are rational thinkers in terms of they know when and how and even how to choose the targets. Why is it that it is now that London is experiencing? Remember, London is going through a political process currently. And they are aware and they want to portray the current government as being a government that it's weak. And that's why you will see that in the last almost two to 3 months, London has really experienced quite a number of attacks because of the political process. And remember, as we are talking now, they have a parliament that's hanging between the Labour and the Conservative. So even terrorists themselves, they know that this is the time to continue dividing the population along those particular lines. For instance, the 6 hours ago attack, normally people are treated to attack that targets some segment of some population with such religious ideology. But look here now, we have an individual who drives a van, into Muslims who are just coming out of a mosque, which is something that has never happened before. It has always been the other way around. So it is like, yes, maybe somebody somewhere now wants to bring in the wedge between various religious communities in London, that they wanted to be portrayed as if it's an act of revenge, so that they provoke the other side of the religious divine.
Yeah, and talk to us about, I mean, Mali as well, here in Africa as well, that terrorist attack. What do you make of that?
What is happening currently all over the world is not something new. It's not something new. And normally what happens is that normally terrorists have got 5 strategies that they use. The first strategy is that they use what we call the war of attrition, that they may want a government to fight for long because they know the more the government fights, the more there are resources that are involved. The other one is to intimidation, that they want the population to believe that they are weak. The government is weak, and there is little that the government can do to protect it. The other strategy is provocation. Yes, we want to provoke a particular regime so that the more it overreacts, the more we gain sympathy as a terrorist organization. The other one is what we call outbinding.
Yes.
And this is what is now happening currently in the world, that terrorist organizations tend to compete, just like any other business entity. They tend to compete with each other, or amongst themselves, which one is more relevant.
Yeah.
And that's why you will see that wherever an attack is carried out by ISIS, for instance, you will also see Al-Qaeda doing the same. You may also be surprised to see Al-Shabaab also doing the same, because they are competing for space. Like, for instance, now what is happening in Mali and some parts of Western Africa,
right.
it is Al-Qaeda in Maghreb. And you will even remember that, last year, when France was attacked by the ISIS, immediately after the attack, there was an attack again in Mali, being led by Al-Qaeda in Maghreb. So that is something that it's normal with any terrorist organization, because they want to prove that they are relevant, and they must compete with each other for that relevancy.
All right, finally, what lessons can Kenya draw from this, looking at what's happening around the world? I mean, Kenya shouldn't sit pretty and you know, just imagine that just because nothing is happening, we're all in the clear. What do you think at this particular time should be happening? What should we be taking into consideration here?
One thing is that we need to enhance our intelligence systems, because that is the best way to fight asymmetric war like the one that terrorism is bringing about.
Right.
The other thing is that we need also to learn in terms of the response time, because it is not just, there is a new concept now in national security whereby you bring risk management approach into national security, whereby you ask yourself, if it happens, how do we mitigate? You have seen that in the previous attack, whereby there was a stabbing in London, it only took the Metropolitan Police about 18 minutes to neutralize the threat.
Yeah.
Suppose it happens.
Actually, 8 minutes,
Yes, it took them 8 minutes to neutralize the threat. So those are the things that, as a country, we need to learn and ask ourselves. Suppose it happens, how prepared are we as a country to mitigate its effect?
All right. Many thanks, Richard Tuta. Thank you so much. Richard Tuta is a security trainer and analyst with us, talking about the new face of terror. Many thanks for being with us. We're taking a break here on Worldview. We'll be back with more news, but here's what to expect.
Coming up, we'll take you to Senegal, where corner shop entrepreneurs are embracing technology to boost their trade.